Hey there, welcome to 1% English Podcast, the daily English show that trains your ears and your brain, just 20 minutes a day. Today, with our two hosts, we explore a haunting question. What happens when the familiar world turns alien overnight? And whether our humanity lies in our bodies, our minds, or in the way others treat us.
Imagine waking up one morning and everything's just wrong. Gregor Samsa. He wakes up from these uneasy dreams, but it's not the usual morning grogginess.
No, far from it.
He finds himself in his bed, transformed. And we're not talking slightly changed. Kafka says he's transformed in his bed into a gigantic insect. It's immediate, it's absolute, and it's terrifying.
And what's really striking is just the sheer physicality of it, the grotesque detail Kafka uses, and like you said, how he presents it with this almost dry, matter-of-fact tone.
No drama, just facts.
Right? Gregor isn't just like metaphorically changed, he's literally physically different. In vivid, unsettling detail, he's lying on his back, which is described as hard, arched, like armor plating. And when he lifts his head, he sees his belly, dome-like brown belly, divided into stiff, arched segments. It's so specific.
And the legs.
Oh, the legs, his numerous thin, pitiable legs just wiggling helplessly. It's such a vivid, almost repulsive image, isn't it? It forces you and Gregor to confront the raw biological reality of what he's become. No flourish, just stark, uncomfortable observation.
And it keeps going. He has a small head, strong jaws. It's not just an idea, it's this tangible, kind of disgusting form he now has to deal with.
And his first thought, which is almost tragically normal, is, what has happened to me?
Right. He tries to make sense of it, thinks maybe it's a dream or perhaps, a temporary illness.
It's that very human tendency, isn't it, to try and normalize the completely absurd, to find some logical explanation even when things are utterly illogical.
But even while he's grappling with this impossible nightmarish situation, the ordinary details of his life just keep intruding. It's so jarring.
Yeah, the alarm clock is ticking away, reminding him about the early train he absolutely has to catch.
Because he's a traveling salesman. That's his identity, right? His whole world revolves around punctuality, schedules, work, routines.
Exactly. And that clash, that stark contrast between the mundane demands of his job and the monstrous reality of his transformation, it sets this deeply unsettling tone right from the start. It shows how quickly the ordinary can just shatter into the unimaginable.
So once that initial shock starts to wear off a tiny bit, his immediate challenge is so basic, so human, but now completely impossible for him.
Getting out of bed.
Just getting out of bed. Kafka describes these agonizing attempts. He's trying to roll over, push with his little leg, but this new body is just cumbersome. It's difficult to control.
His many legs, you'd think they'd help, but they move independently. They refuse to cooperate. It's this desperate struggle for the most basic function, something he used to do without a single thought.
It really highlights this profound physical alienation, doesn't it?
Completely. The body that was just him, his tool, his vessel.
Yeah.
Suddenly this foreign thing, this repulsive cage he's trapped in.
It's like a primal struggle, not against something outside, but against his own body.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If you are suddenly unable to move or communicate like you always have, cleaned it out of bed, what would be the very first thing you'd try to do? Would you focus on moving or trying to call for help?
And how quickly would that frustration just turn into despair?
Exactly. Because for Gregor, the next devastating blow, maybe even worse than the physical change, is losing his voice.
Oh, the breeze.
He tries so hard to speak, to call out, maybe explain, but what comes out is just this pitiable squeaking sound.
Kafka calls it unmistakably the voice of an animal.
Yes, and that's not just another physical change. It's the immediate, absolute severing of his connection to humanity, to communication, to any hope of being understood by anyone.
It's a crucial turning point, right? Because that loss of voice is the first real sign his humanity is eroding, not just for him, but how others will see him.
Absolutely. It cuts him off completely from any meaningful communication. He can't explain, he can't reassure, he can't bridge that gap between his new form and his old self. It seals his isolation, really, before anyone else even sees him. He's trapped physically, but also emotionally and linguistically.
And thinking about how others react, especially his family, when they finally see him, their reaction is just pure revulsion. His father actually drives him back into the room. They're not just disgusted, they treat him like Well, like vermin. That's V-E-R-M-I-N.
Vermin, yes, that's a key word here. As a noun, vermin refers to those small, repulsive, often destructive insects or animals. Things like cockroaches, rats, lice, things people generally want to get rid of.
Yes, that's a strong negative feeling, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It emphasizes disgust, undesirability, maybe even contamination. And it's crucial because Gregor's family, and honestly, even Gregor himself at first, they perceive his new form as something like vermin, something unwanted, despised, something to be hidden or even eradicated.
Like if you said an old building had a problem with vermin.
Right. You immediately know it's not talking about beloved pets. It's about pests, infestation. Applying that word to Gregor immediately strips him of dignity, of his personhood.
And then the title itself gives us our second really important term, the one that sums up the whole story. Metamorphosis. M-E-T-A-M-O-R-P-H-O-S-I-S.
Metamorphosis, also a noun. And it has two key meanings, both super relevant here. Biologically, it means that profound change in form from one life stage to the next. Think of a caterpillar turning into a butterfly.
A natural transformation.
Right, often seen as beautiful. But metamorphosis also means a complete change of character, condition, or circumstances. Often a really dramatic, maybe unexpected shift.
So Kafka uses it for Gregor's literal change.
Exactly. But the genius of the story is how it also explores the metamorphosis of the family. Their relationships change, their finances change, their whole way of life transforms. Even their morals, maybe.
So you could say, for instance, the company underwent a complete metamorphosis after the new CEO took over.
Perfect example. Changing its entire culture. It signifies a fundamental, often irreversible change, moving from one state to a completely different one. And that applies to Gregor and to everyone around him.
Okay, so Gregor is trapped. He's in this new, grotesque body, can't speak, and the world outside his bedroom door starts to react. It doesn't take long for his family's worry to curdle into something much more complicated.
Yeah, something mixed with fear, resentment, and this awful practicality.
You hear those knocks on his door getting more frequent, more insistent.
And each knock sounds different, doesn't it? It subtly reveals the family dynamics. The mother's knock is gentle, hesitant almost, full of worry.
While the father's is impatient, demanding, reflecting his role, maybe his frustration.
And the sister, Grete. Hers are soft inquiries, maybe a mix of concern and a kind of youthful hope that things aren't really as bad as they seem.
Each knock just ramps up the tension. It shows the immediate ripple effect of him just not following his morning routine.
And it quickly becomes clear this isn't just about Gregor's health, is it? The central agonizing issue is their dependence on him.
He was the sole provider, the breadwinner.
Exactly. So his absence from work isn't just weird, it's an immediate financial crisis, an existential threat to their whole way of life. It forces them to face this terrifying new reality. For a family totally reliant on one person, it's catastrophic.
And that threat gets effaced, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With the arrival of the chief clerk.
Right on time, 6:50 a.m., punctual to a fault. He's like the symbol of the rigid, unforgiving demands of Gregor's job.
He's not just a person, he's the embodiment of the system. The job Gregor literally cannot do anymore.
Yeah.
Demanding adherence to rules, productivity.
Above all else, yeah. His very presence just highlights the crushing pressure Gregor was under even before all this happened.
And the clerk doesn't hold back, does he? No beating around the bush.
Not at all. He immediately jumps to accusations, veiled threats, hints about Gregor being negligent, suspicions about why he missed the train, even suggesting serious suspicions about his trustworthiness, maybe implying he's stolen something or is somehow morally failing.
He's not worried about Gregor's well-being at all.
Zero concern for that. It's all about punctuality, productivity, his contribution to the company's profit. The pressure on Gregor to just snap out of it and be the dutiful employee despite his impossible state is immense. It really shows society's harsh, almost transactional view of human worth.
But Gregor, even in this state, he tries, doesn't he? He makes this agonizing effort to open the door.
It's incredibly difficult. He has to use his mouth, his jaws, to turn the key. It highlights the intense physical effort needed for what used to be a simple action, whose desperation to just get out, explain, reassure them, it's palpable.
He's clinging to this hope that if they just see him, somehow they'll understand, or maybe pity him.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then the reveal. The door finally scrapes open, and the family, the chief clerk, they see him.
And the reaction is just immediate, visceral horror.
Utterly. The mother just collapses, overwhelmed, and the father clenches his fist not in sympathy, but like in disgust. Raw anger. His face twists.
And the chief clerk, Mr. Practicality.
He recoils, covers his mouth, makes this hissing sound like a primitive animal reaction to seeing vermin.
That reaction from the clerk is so telling, isn't it?
Absolutely key. And deeply insightful. Not 1 ounce of sympathy, no concern for Gregor. He just declares the situation unheard of, basically incomprehensible, and immediately threatens to fire him.
It hammers home that point. Gregor's value was tied entirely to his job, his ability to work, to fulfill that societal role.
Without that, he's nothing. Instantly stripped of his worth, his humanity in the eyes of the corporate world. It's a brutal, cold dismissal.
And you can almost hear Gregor trying to explain, even with those awful squeaks, trying to reassure them, promise he'll work.
He's still Gregor inside, right? Still committed, still responsible in his mind, but it's completely futile. Nobody understands him. Nobody even tries to look past the monstrous surface. That language barrier is absolute.
So connecting this to the bigger picture, what does this tell us about that unspoken deal between people and society?
It suggests something profoundly unsettling, I think. The moment someone can no longer produce or contribute in the expected ways through work or social interaction, or even just fitting in physically, their identity, their value just plummets almost instantly.
And that leads straight to isolation, rejection.
Exactly. Look at the chief clerk. He just flees, abandons any pretense of human connection. And the father forcefully driving Gregor back into the room with a walking stick and a newspaper, trapping him. It confirms his immediate brutal expulsion from the normal world. It's a stark picture of how quickly society, even family, can discard those who no longer fit the functional mold.
So Gregor is now confined. His bedroom, which used to be his private space, is now everything. His whole world.
A bizarre mix, isn't it? A prison, definitely. But maybe also a kind of sanctuary. He's trapped, can't leave, and his existence is just profoundly limited by this unwieldy body.
Inside that room, his physical limitations are just extreme, humiliating.
He struggles so much just to move across the floor. Those legs get tangled, and he can't even reach the window anymore. That simple connection to the outside world is gone. It just reinforces his confinement.
But he starts to adapt in a weird way.
He does. He develops these new insect-like preferences, seeking out dark, hidden spots like under the couch, finds a strange comfort there, and, surprisingly, discovers he likes clinging to the ceiling, the walls.
It's adaptation, sure, but it's so grim. It highlights how detached he's becoming from his human past.
It shows that survival instinct, maybe, but also how much his world has shrunk, reduced to this tiny, confined space.
And initially it falls to his sister, Grete, to be his main caregiver.
Yeah, she takes on that incredibly difficult role. She brings him food. At first, milk, what she thinks he'd like. Then she starts experimenting, leaving out different scraps, observing his changing tastes with this almost detached scientific curiosity.
Does it suggest some initial compassion? A memory of her brother?
I think so, initially. There's a spark of compassion, a sense of family duty, maybe even a faint hope he might somehow get better.
But that changes, doesn't it? Tragically.
It really does. Her attitude evolves. That compassion shifts subtly at first towards clear distaste, revulsion even. She develops this careful routine for dealing with his room, always trying not to see him directly.
Which just emphasizes the growing disgust she feels, right? Even if it's masked by duty for a while.
Exactly. It's this slow, agonizing erosion of empathy. The weight of the situation and the horror, it just wears her down.
And that tension, that internal struggle in the family, it really comes to a head with the whole furniture issue.
Yes, the furniture dilemma. They decide to remove most of it from his room, supposedly to give him more space to move around, assuming, or maybe rationalizing, that it would help him in his new form.
But for Gregor, it's not helpful at all, is it? It feels like another invasion, another piece of his humanity being stripped away, another anchor to his past being cut.
Is it really for his benefit, or is it more for theirs, making the room less like a human bedroom?
That's a great question, because for Gregor, seeing his familiar things removed, it's like being stripped bare again, and he desperately clings to that one picture on the wall, the woman in furs.
It's such a powerful symbol, his last hold on his human past, his preferences.
It's not just any picture, it's a link to his former life, maybe to beauty, maybe some romantic idea he had. It's so moving because it shows that even in that grotesque insect form, his human heart, his longing for connection, for beauty, it's still there.
But the family just sees practical space for the insect.
Exactly. It's this painful clash. Their practical need for order versus his desperate need for memory, for self. They're essentially erasing his identity from the room. And that scene where his mother tries to help, but then sees Gregor and just collapses.
It's so raw, visceral. It highlights the incredible emotional toll this is taking on everyone. The constant horror, the psychological burden of living with this repulsive secret. It's a moment where the sheer despair of their situation just breaks through, and that horror prevents any real connection or care.
It really shows how empathy can just wither away under that kind of prolonged strain.
Absolutely. The initial shock gives way to weary resignation, then to open revulsion. The furniture removal, symbolically, it's them removing the last traces of Gregor's humanity from their shared space. It's the psychological impact of living with this hidden, awful secret in your own home, a secret that slowly consumes them all.
So while Gregor is confined, shrinking into this insect existence, the family's money problems really come crashing down.
Yeah, that harsh reality takes center stage. His inability to work, remember he was the sole provider, it triggers this immediate, severe financial crisis.
He carried the whole burden.
And what's interesting, maybe surprising, is the truth that emerges about their finances. They weren't completely broke before this.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the family actually had some savings, money Gregor had earned, maybe some left over from his father's old failed business. But, and this is key, these savings are described as dwindling rapidly.
They weren't going to last forever.
Not at all. The longer Gregor is incapacitated, the faster their security just evaporates. Which brings us to our next vocabulary word, perfectly describing their situation. Dwindling. D-W-I-N-D-L-I-N-G.
Dwindling.
Yes. It can be a verb or an adjective. It means gradually getting smaller, lessening, shrinking, diminishing in amount, size, or strength. It really paints a picture of something slowly but surely disappearing, a resource being used up, not replaced.
Like you might say, the company's profits had been dwindling for several quarters.
Perfect example, leading to concerns about its future. It captures that sense of a shrinking safety net for the Samsa family. Their savings are disappearing day by day, creating this palpable fear and desperation. And that slow erosion of resources. It definitely contributes to the erosion of their compassion.
So they have no choice. They have to adapt to this harsh new reality.
Yeah.
The financial weight falls on everyone now.
It's a complete upheaval. Each family member is forced to get a job. The father, who seemed retired and idle, becomes a bank messenger wearing a uniform.
The mother, who was often frail, takes on strenuous sewing work for strangers.
And the sister Grete, who is this gentle, artistic girl dreaming of the conservatory, she becomes a sales girl.
It illustrates the harsh realities, doesn't it? Long hours, exhaustion.
Absolutely. And in their fatigue and desperation, the apartment itself starts getting neglected. Dust, disarray, and even more tragically, Gregor himself is neglected. He becomes a forgotten burden in the corner.
This intense economic pressure really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In what ways do you think sudden economic hardship can just profoundly change family relationships? Change who people are?
It's a powerful question. That stress can absolutely twist ends, turn love into resentment, self-sacrifice into pure self-preservation.
Because in Kafka's story, those pressures lead directly to the next humiliating step for the family, taking in lodgers.
Yes. To make extra money, they make this desperate decision to rent out a room, which just highlights their desperation and means a complete loss of privacy. Their home isn't really their own anymore.
And these lodgers aren't exactly easy tenants.
Far from it. They're demanding, very particular about cleanliness and order. Their expectations are high, adding yet another layer of stress onto the family's already overloaded lives.
And this makes Gregor's situation even worse somehow.
It does. His room, already his prison, now becomes a dumping ground, a storage area for junk, things the lodgers don't want in their space. It further displaces him, makes his private space just a utility closet, really.
And that constant fear of discovery must be awful.
Like a dark cloud hanging over them. They go to such lengths to keep Gregor a secret, hiding him away, but eventually it fails. That tension, that dread of exposure must have been immense.
And when the lodgers do inevitably find out about Gregor.
Oh, it's a moment of pure horror for the family. And the lodgers' reaction, immediate outrage, intense anger.
They don't just complain, they threaten to leave without paying. Right.
Exactly. Putting the family in an even worse financial spot. This moment really shows that erosion of dignity, of personal space, even family bonds, when survival becomes the only thing that matters. Those external pressures just strip away any pretense. They reveal the harsh truths about the family's priorities and force these uncomfortable, ultimately cruel changes. The family is forced to choose Gregor or their own survival.
But amidst all this gloom, this confinement, this tension, there's this one brief, almost miraculous moment, a glimmer of something beautiful.
Ah, yes, the music.
It's such a powerful scene. Grete starts playing her violin for the lodgers.
And what's truly fascinating is Gregor's reaction. Despite everything, the insect form, the isolation, the decay, that music draws him out of his room.
He feels something.
Profoundly. It gives him this rare moment of connection, a longing for his human past, a deep appreciation for his sister's talent. It's proof that some part of his human spirit, his capacity to feel, to appreciate beauty, empathy, it's still there, trapped, but there.
It's a poignant reminder that Gregor, the man, is still inside.
But the contrast couldn't be more stark, could it? Or more heartbreaking. The lodgers, the humans Grete is actually playing for.
They couldn't care less. Utterly unimpressed, bored, even rude.
They represent that cold, calculating world that just doesn't value anything beyond immediate utility, right? They lack any real humanity, any appreciation for art, especially compared to Gregor's deeply felt response.
Yeah.
It's almost ironic, isn't it? The monster is the most human one in the room at that moment.
It really is. And he has this surprising thought, doesn't he, while listening?
Yes. It's heartbreaking. He thinks about how he had planned, before all this, to arrange for Grete to study violin at the conservatory.
Even now, he's thinking of her future.
It's incredible, a testament to his continued self-sacrificing love, his enduring humanity, his selflessness, even in this state. He's thinking about her dreams, not his own suffering.
But that fragile moment, that last link maybe, it just gets brutally shattered.
Utterly shattered. By Grete herself. The sister who is his caregiver, the one who showed that flicker of compassion. She delivers this sudden, incredibly cruel verdict.
She says it outright, doesn't she? With chilling finality.
We must try to get rid of it. And then even more chillingly, she says, it cannot be Gregor. She strips him of his name, his identity, his humanity, reduces him to an it, a thing to be disposed of.
It's the ultimate betrayal.
Devastating. And she justifies it, doesn't she? Driven by her own exhaustion, fear, resentment. She says it is an unbearable burden. They can't go on like this. Gregor's presence is repugnant. And that word, repugnant, R-E-P-U-G-N-A-N-T, that really captures their final, irreversible feeling.
Repugnant. It's such a strong word.
It is. As an adjective, it means extremely distasteful, unacceptable, causing intense disgust. It's visceral. It signifies this complete revulsion, a moral and emotional rejection that goes way beyond just dislike.
So when Grete calls his presence repugnant,
it marks that complete, irreversible shift. Any initial care or sympathy is just gone, obliterated. Like if you heard someone say, the politician's comments were widely seen as morally repugnant. It conveys that deep-seated disgust that ultimately dehumanizes whatever or whoever is the target.
and the rest of the family.
Yeah.
How do they react to Grete's declaration?
It's unanimous and devastatingly quick. The father immediately agrees. Without hesitation, his earlier anger just hardens into this decisive action.
And the mother?
She's silent. Her face is pale, drawn, but her silence is clearly consent. Implicit agreement.
And Gregor hears all this.
He hears it and feels this profound, crushing sense of betrayal. The very family he sacrificed everything for, supported, loved unconditionally. They've decided he has to be eliminated, that his existence is just an unbearable stain on their lives.
It's the absolute breakdown of those family bonds, the tragic endpoint of his transformation.
It really explores the painful limits of compassion, doesn't it? How self-preservation, pushed to the extreme by hardship and psychological strain, can just override love, loyalty, everything.
And it leaves you with that really provocative question. Where does humanity truly reside? It just in our appearance, our physical form?
Or is it deeper, in our spirit, our capacity for love, sacrifice, appreciation, even when the body is changed beyond recognition? Kafka leaves that hanging, doesn't he?
He certainly does. And that chilling declaration from Grete leads directly to Gregor's inevitable end.
After that final rejection by his family, his physical and mental state just plummets, rapidly deteriorates.
He's injured, right? From the apple his father threw.
Yes, that injury lingers and worsens. Plus, he's completely neglected now. The family treats him as if he's truly non-existent. His room, once that desperate sanctuary, just becomes a dumping ground for dust, dirt, discarded junk. He's almost literally buried under their neglect.
It's awful to imagine his despair, utterly abandoned.
Yet, even in his final moments, there's this flicker of his former self, that compassionate core.
He thinks of them with love.
Yes, tenderness and love, Kafka writes. He feels his disappearance would actually bring them relief, that his death would finally liberate them from the burden he'd become. It's incredibly sad and selfless in a way.
And then he just dies.
Just before dawn. quietly, almost mercifully, perhaps, ending his suffering.
And the discovery of his body.
It's handled by the charwoman, the cleaning lady. Ironically, she's maybe the only one who interacted with him without total disgust, almost casually. She finds him, confirms he's dead.
But the family's reaction, that's what's really shocking.
Deeply unsettling. There's no grief, no sorrow, no mourning for their son, their brother. Instead, immense palpable relief. A sense of liberation, like this huge repulsive weight has finally been lifted. The narrative doesn't focus on sadness, it focuses on their release.
And the father immediately gets rid of the lodgers.
Exactly. Signifying that removal of all the burdens, financial, emotional, the secrecy. The charwoman gets rid of Gregor's body. The family literally cleans house, physically and emotionally.
And the story ends with this almost idyllic image of their future. Without him.
It's striking, isn't it? They decide to take a walk together, symbolizing their new freedom, their hope, a fresh start. They have this optimistic chat about their future, their jobs, plans for Grete to get married.
Completely unburdened by Gregor's memory. It's like he's been erased.
Effectively erased. And the most poignant, maybe the most grimly paradoxical part is Grete's transformation.
The sister who delivered the final verdict.
Yes. She's described, almost shockingly, as blooming. Transforming into a fresh and healthy young girl with a promising future ahead. She stretches her body, becomes this symbol of vitality.
It's such a stark, uncomfortable truth. Gregor's death, his ultimate tragedy, it's the catalyst for their renewal, their liberation.
His suffering becomes their path to happiness. It's deeply unsettling.
That ending, with its almost cheerful tone after such horror, it leaves you with really difficult questions, doesn't it? Can real happiness, real freedom, be built on the suffering and sacrifice of someone else?
It's a powerful, uncomfortable question. It challenges our ideas about morality, family loyalty, maybe even the human capacity for self-interest when pushed. It forces us to look at our own values.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Kafka's The Metamorphosis, we've really touched on some fundamental enduring themes.
Absolutely. That shattering of identity when your very being changes, the fragility of human connection under pressure.
The impact of societal economic forces on families, and the complex, often unsettling nature of compassion or its absence. Sacrifice too.
And it forces us to confront that uncomfortable reality, how quickly human value can be stripped away when someone no longer fits or can contribute in the ways we expect.
Which leads us to that final provocative thoughts for you, our listeners, to ponder.
If our value as individuals is defined primarily by what we can do, our productivity, our contribution, rather than by who we are intrinsically, our spirit, our capacity for love, what does that mean?
What does it mean for how we perceive and treat others when they can't contribute in those expected ways anymore? Maybe due to illness or age or disability or just difficult circumstances.
It's a question that feels incredibly relevant today, doesn't it? Maybe even more so in our performance-driven world.
Definitely. We really encourage you to reflect on the enduring power of the metamorphosis. If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, and we hope it has, maybe seek out the full text.
Reading it, perhaps in English, could really deepen your understanding, and it's a fantastic way to continue your journey of learning, improving those listening skills. Remember that 1% improvement every day.
Every little bit helps.
Thank you so much for joining us on this profound, maybe unsettling, but hopefully fascinating journey through one of literature's great, strange masterpieces.
We'll see you next time.
Congrats. You just crushed your 1% for today. If you're loving this podcast, show that subscribe button some love. And don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss your daily dose of 1%. That's it for today. Take care, keep growing, and we'll see you tomorrow.